Hello friends. Today we'll discuss about one of the competency in the subject physiology 7.2. Describe the structure and function of juxtaglomerular apparatus and role of renin angiotensin aldosterone mechanism. Okay, so basically it is a part of the renal system, that is the excretory system deals with the kidney and its function. Okay, so we will try to study what exactly the juxtaglomerular apparatus means and what is its role. That is, it will secrete one enzyme known as renin, and this renin angiotensin aldosterone mechanism, what exactly it means and what is its implication or application, clinical application in the for maintaining the blood pressure. Okay, so first we'll try to know what exactly this juxtaglomerular apparatus means. Okay, so just consider this as a human kidney. Okay, so as you know, human kidneys are made up of nephrons. Okay, so nephrons is a cell of a kidney, structural and functional unit of the kidney. Cells form tissue, tissues forms organs. So kidney, this is an organ which is formed by the renal tissue, which is basically the cells are made up of nephrons. Okay, so I'm not going to go in detail about the anatomy and the histology, how a nephron looks. So because we'll just stick on to our topic, juxtaglomerular apparatus. So in this, approximately 1.2 million nephrons will be present in each kidney. Okay, so if we see a nephron, that is inside this, so many 1.2 nephrons will be there. They will be ultimately they will be filtering the blood and they will be forming the urine, which is excreted through the ureter, then ultimately collected to the urinary bladder and ultimately through the urethra. Okay, so many nephrons will be there. Just I'll enlarge one nephron and we'll try to understand what exactly this juxtaglomerular apparatus means. Okay, so this consists of the glomerulus and the tubular structure. Okay, so this renal glomerulus consists of the glomerular tuft and the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so what I have drawn is a Bowman's capsule of a nephron. I will draw the glomerulus. Basically it's an capillaries, or it consists of these blood vessels, afferent arteriole and the efferent arteriole, and efferent arteriole. So this is the afferent arteriole, AFF, afferent arteriole, and this one is the efferent arteriole. Okay, afferent from where the blood enters and efferent where the blood will exit. Okay, so this from this efferent arteriole, it will continuous as the peritubular capillaries, then finally from this peritubular capillaries it will reach to the venous system and it will lead to the circulation. Okay, so from this venous system, that is the blood will enter to the kidney by the renal artery and it will get filtered, and finally the blood will go back to the circulation, and the filtered blood it will excrete as the urine. Okay, so this is the afferent arteriole, this is an efferent arteriole, then this is the Bowman's capsule. Then we have the tubular structures. First, proximal convoluted tubule. I am just drawing a rough diagram. Okay, proximal convoluted tubule, then we have a loop of Henle, descending loop, ascending thin loop, thick ascending loop, and we have the distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. Okay, collecting duct. So this is proximal convoluted tubule, PCT, this is loop of Henle, this is thick ascending loop of Henle, and this is distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct. Okay, so this is just a rough diagram of a nephron. Okay, so I'll just erase this kidney now. We'll just concentrate on this structure, nephron. So what exactly this juxtaglomerular apparatus means? Okay, what exactly this juxtaglomerular apparatus means? If we consider this diagram of a nephron, you can see this afferent arteriole. Okay, here this afferent arteriole, the tunica media, that is the smooth muscle layer, here at the level of this one, there are some specialized cells will be there. So these specialized cells, okay, or the modified smooth muscle cells at this near the efferent arteriole in the smooth muscle layer, these cells are known as juxtaglomerular cells or JG cells, juxtaglomerular cells. Glomerular cells. So this afferent arteriole is a blood vessel, and the tunica media, it is the smooth muscle layer in between. So there is a modified specialized cells, and that cells are known as juxtaglomerular cells. Okay. Then here, where the thick ascending loop of Henle ends and the distal convoluted tubule starts. So again, there are certain dense cells noted here. Okay. So these dense cells at this place where the ascending thick loop of Henle ends and the distal convoluted tubule starts. So this modified cells here at the level of the distal convoluted tubule, they are known as macula densa. Dense, they appear. So when the histological structure was studied by the researchers, so this part appears bit dark. Okay, dark, that is dense. So that's why it is named as macula densa. Macula means a spot which is dark. That's why it is known as macula densa. Okay. Then in between these two cells, that is this juxtaglomerular cells, JG cells, and this macula densa, there are certain supporting cells. So these supporting cells are known as mesangial cells, or also known as Lacis cells. Mesangial cells and also known as Lacis cells or Lacis cells. So these three structures together, that is this juxtaglomerular cells, macula densa, and this supporting in between cells, that is the mesangial cells, this structure is labeled as juxtaglomerular apparatus. So what does juxtaglomerular apparatus consist of? It consists of three structures: juxtaglomerular cells, macula densa, and mesangial cells. So let me revise quickly. Juxtaglomerular cells are the modified epithelial cells here in the smooth muscles of near the afferent arteriole. Macula densa here at the level of the distal convoluted tubule, again they are also the modified cells or darkened cells, and the supporting cells in between these two cells are known as the mesangial cells or simply Lacis cells. So these three structures together, they are known as juxtaglomerular apparatus. Okay. So the importance of this structure is they secrete one very important chemical, an enzyme, that is known as renin. This one, renin. So this structure, they secrete one chemical, that is especially from these juxtaglomerular cells, it is secreted into the blood. That is one chemical that is known as renin. Now this renin enzyme has a very important role in the regulation of the blood pressure. So we'll discuss how exactly this renin, which is secreted from this juxtaglomerular apparatus, which consists of these three structures. So how this renin will be helpful in maintaining the blood pressure. So we'll take one example. Suppose if there is a road traffic accident in a normal person, okay, around 1 liter of the blood has been flowing. Okay, so from the circulatory system, that is, consider this as a circulatory system of a person. Okay, I am drawing a one circle, big circle, that is, this is the circulatory system, that is the blood vessel system, both arterial, venous, everything, that is total 5 liter of the blood. Okay, so out of that circulatory system, due to a road traffic accident, some amount of the blood, okay, there is a bleeding, okay, so the person lost around 1 liter of the blood, okay. So normally what we expect is there is decrease in the blood pressure, but our body has certain compensatory mechanism. Due to that, the blood pressure will come back to the normal even if there is a bleeding, but it has certain limits, okay. Under certain physiological limits, if it is more than 2 liters or 3 liters, then this compensatory mechanism doesn't work. We have to give an active aid, active medical help or medical aid. But under physiological limits, if there is a bleeding, definitely the blood pressure will come back to normal. And for this chemical renin along with certain another chemical, that is angiotensinogen, aldosterone and other the chemicals we are going to discuss, okay. That is known as renin angiotensin aldosterone axis or renin angiotensin aldosterone mechanism. Now let us discuss what exactly this renin angiotensin aldosterone axis or mechanism is for the controlling of the blood pressure, okay. So consider this as a circulatory system. So for the control of the regulation of the blood pressure, this kidney, that is there is a role of renin, then other organs like liver. So few organs, they participate in the control. So I'll just draw one more small here. This is a liver, I'm just drawing a rough diagram, liver. Then our central nervous system, that is the brain and the spinal cord, okay, it also helps. So I will draw a very rough diagram of the brain and the spinal cord representing the central nervous system, okay. Then this is the kidney part, and also I'll draw here one more important structure, an endocrine gland known as suprarenal gland, that is the adrenal gland. It has adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Suprarenal gland, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla, okay. Especially this adrenal cortex, which will secrete an important hormone, aldosterone, okay, from the zona glomerulosa layer, okay. So now how this blood pressure is restored back, okay. So this liver will secrete one chemical, that is basically an alpha globulin, okay. Liver produces so many plasma proteins and all. So one of the protein is alpha globulin known as angiotensinogen. It's an alpha globulin secreted from the liver into the blood circulation. So consider this as a circulatory pool, that is blood circulation, okay. So angiotensinogen is secreted by the liver into the blood circulation, okay. So this renin which is secreted by the juxtaglomerular apparatus, okay, this will enter the circulation through the afferent arteriole, it will enter the peritubular capillaries, then from the venous blood flow it will come back to the systemic circulation, and the renin will enter into the systemic circulation, that is in the blood vessels, okay, renin. So this is an enzyme, renin is an enzyme, it will convert this angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1, okay. So for the conversion of this, renin is required. So angiotensinogen gets converted into angiotensin 1, okay, angiotensin 1, okay. Then the angiotensin 1 further gets converted by an enzyme known as angiotensin converting enzyme, or simply can be designated as ACE. It gets converted into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 1 gets converted into angiotensin 2, okay. So this angiotensin 1 gets converted into angiotensin 2, and for this one enzyme is required known as angiotensin converting enzyme. I have designated as ACE. So this angiotensin converting enzyme is mainly present in the lungs. However, it is present in other tissues also. Consider this as a lung, okay. So here the pulmonary capillaries. So in the walls of the pulmonary capillaries, this enzymes AC is present. So in the systemic circulation, when the blood is moving, it will enter through the pulmonary vessels also. So while entering, this angiotensin 1 mainly gets converted into angiotensin 2. However, it is present in other tissues also, but mainly in the lungs. Okay. So this angiotensin converting enzyme converts into angiotensin 2. Now this angiotensin 2 is a powerful vasoconstrictor, that is, it will decreases the diameter of the blood vessels. Okay, we'll discuss how exactly it will bring back to the blood. So come back to our story. So what happened? There was a road traffic accident and there was a bleeding. So what happened when there is a bleeding? The blood flow to all the organs are reduced. Okay, so especially the blood flow to the kidney is also reduced, right? So when the blood flow in the kidneys are reduced, then the blood which is flowing from the afferent arteriole is reduced, right? So whenever the blood flow to the afferent arteriole is reduced, then this juxtaglomerular apparatus senses this. How it senses? This one, what was this? Juxtaglomerular cells. So these juxtaglomerular cells, they will sense the change in the blood pressure, that is reduced blood pressure due to the decreased volume. Okay, so this juxtaglomerular cells, JG cells, okay, due to the decreased blood flow in the kidney, it will stimulate and secrete the renin. Okay, this is one of the secretion. Then as you know, due to the decreased blood flow, then you know the blood is filtered here in the Bowman's capsule and filtered, and finally it is excreted as urine. So in the proximal convoluted tubule, around 65 to 70% or 65% of the sodium is reabsorbed. Okay, then in the distal convoluted tubule around 25, so around 10% of the sodium is excreted, or it is reabsorbed there, but majority is excreted here. So when the blood volume is less or the blood pressure is less, then the amount of this sodium entering here in this tubule, distal tubule, is also less. So this low sodium level in the distal tubule is again sensed by one more structure, that is the macula densa. If you remember, macula densa and the juxtaglomerular cells, they are part of juxtaglomerular apparatus. So this macula densa cells will senses the low sodium level in the nephron tubules. Okay, so this acts as a chemoreceptor, this acts as a baroreceptor. So this will senses the chemical changes and this will senses the pressure changes. Okay, and these Lacey cells are in between this, they can communicate in between these two cells. So this low sodium level which is moving in the tubules are assessed or sensed by this macula densa cells, and these macula densa cells, with the help of these Lacey cells, communicate with the juxtaglomerular cells to secrete the renin. So what is the important stimulus for the secretion of renin? Low blood pressure. So due to the low blood pressure, both chemical sense and the pressure sense are sensed by this juxtaglomerular apparatus. So basically this juxtaglomerular apparatus, it is like a blood pressure measuring device in the kidney. So in the kidney there are nephrons. So each nephrons, around 1.2 million nephrons, will have one blood pressure checking instrument. That blood pressure checking instrument in each nephron is nothing but this juxtaglomerular apparatus. So whenever the blood pressure drops or they feel less, then this renin is released. Okay, so this renin, as we have already discussed, will convert this so many chemicals ultimately into angiotensin 2. Okay, so this angiotensin 2 is a very powerful vasoconstrictor and it will increase the blood pressure. How it will increases the blood pressure we'll discuss now, and this role of central nervous system also we'll discuss. So consider this as the right side of the heart, that is the venous system, that is the venous blood will be flowing in the right side of the heart. Okay, and the left side of the heart, that is the systemic circulation through the aorta, the various arteries, okay, and the arterioles. Okay, so these arterioles will continues as the capillaries and finally they will communicate as venules. Okay, and there is a communication in the circulation will continue. So when there is a drop in the blood pressure, when in the drop in the blood pressure, that is in the systemic circulation, if you remember, there are baroreceptors on the carotid sinus, carotid artery. Okay, baroreceptors will sense the change in the blood pressure. So whenever it is less, then it will send a signal to the brain, that is the vasomotor center of the medulla. So from this, when it will send a signal, that is sympathetic nervous system gets activated. So this sympathetic nervous system, so how it will send the signal? This one from baroreceptors, if you remember, it is sent through the 9th cranial nerve, that is the glossopharyngeal nerve, 9th cranial nerve. So from this 9th cranial nerve, it receives the signal and the sympathetic nervous systems are activated, and this sympathetic nervous system through the nerves also reaches the kidney. So in the kidney, it will stimulate, there are beta 1 receptors, sympathetic receptors, beta 1 adrenergic receptors. So due to the information received by the baroreceptors in the carotid artery or the carotid sinus, the vasomotor center receives here in the medulla, and it activates the sympathetic system, and the sympathetic system gets activated, and the beta 1 receptors which are situated here in the juxtaglomerular cells are stimulated, and renin is released. Okay, so this renin release is again due to one central mechanism and two local mechanism. Local mechanism, the pressure sensing by the juxtaglomerular cells and the chemical sensation by the macula densa, and the central mechanism by this beta 1 adrenergic receptor stimulation by the sympathetic nerves connection to the kidney. Okay, so this is how renin is released. Now this renin, after releasing, it will convert finally into angiotensin 2. So this angiotensin 2 has various functions. What it will do? So first we will complete the axis renin, angiotensin, aldosterone axis. So this angiotensin 2, what it will do is it will stimulate the suprarenal gland or the adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex has 3 layers: zona glomerulosa, fasciculate and reticularis. From the zona glomerulosa, one important hormone is secreted known as aldosterone. Aldosterone. So angiotensin 2 will stimulate the secretion of aldosterone. Okay, so it is basically secreted from the endocrine gland, adrenal cortex. So what does this aldosterone do? Okay, so what does this aldosterone do? So this aldosterone basically act in the here collecting tubules of the nephrons, that is the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct or the collecting tubules here. So on the principal cells, so I'll just enlarge one cell, principal cells here. Okay, the principal cells of the tubules. So I'll just enlarge here. So this aldosterone will enter this principal cells of the renal tubule, that is the nephrons, nephron tubules. So what it will do? So it will bind to the aldosterone receptors. It will bind to the aldosterone receptors, and there is a nucleus. So in this principal cell there will be a nucleus. So when this aldosterone binds to this receptor, now it will lead to the activation of the genes in the nucleus. So these genes will lead to the production of certain proteins or enzymes here, sodium potassium ATPase or the sodium potassium pump. Sodium potassium ATPase are more found on the basolateral membrane rather than the apical membrane. So this sodium potassium ATPase, what does it causes? It causes sodium reabsorption and potassium excretion. Okay, sodium reabsorption and potassium excretion, that is sodium, 3 sodium molecule will move outside and 2 potassium will enter. So most of that sodium is this one entered. Okay, then sodium channels will be there here, one more gene. So the sodium channels will take the sodium here, whatever lower sodium, and they will get along with the sodium, the water molecule is also taken back. So along with the sodium, water molecule is also taken into the circulation. So function of the aldosterone is sodium reabsorption and potassium excretion. So along with the sodium, water molecules are also dragged. So sodium molecule drag the water molecule. So the water's molecules through this tubule is again taken back to the systemic circulation. So there is no excretion, that is less excretion of the water molecules. So because of this less excretion of the water molecules, the more amount of the fluid is preserved into the systemic circulation. This is the one of the mechanism how the blood volume is maintained, that is blood is lost. We are discussing about the loss of the blood and how this juxtaglomerular apparatus or renin angiotensin aldosterone mechanism works. So aldosterone secreted here, so it drags the sodium along with the water and the blood circulation maintains. So this is one of the function of this angiotensin 2, that it will stimulate the secretion of aldosterone. Then directly this angiotensin 2 will causes the vasoconstriction here at the venous level as well. There are receptors, angiotensin 2 receptors will be there in the blood vessels. So here arteriolar receptors and here at the veins also. So when there is a vasoconstriction here or the venoconstriction here, so at the venous end when there is a constriction, the blood volume is more, that is the veins are considered as the reservoir. So the blood volume is more and it will enter here into the heart and the cardiac output is ultimately increased. So it will increase the systolic blood pressure, that is systolic blood pressure, and there is vasoconstriction here at the arteriolar end, that is the peripheral resistance is increased. So simultaneously the diastolic blood pressure is also increased. So angiotensin 2, what it will do, it will increases the blood volume by its action on the aldosterone and also by its direct effect on the receptors on the blood vessels which causes vasoconstriction. It will increase both systolic as well as the diastolic blood pressure. So two functions. Not only that, it will, this angiotensin 2 also stimulate here, give signal to the hypothalamus. So the supraoptic nucleus of the hypothalamus, it will get stimulated and it will secrete one important hormone through the posterior pituitary gland, that is antidiuretic hormone or ADH. So this antidiuretic hormone or the ADH, so this antidiuretic hormone again it will act on this collecting tubules and it will increases the permeability of the water. So here this nephron, this lower tubular part will be in the medullary interstitium. So here the osmolarity will be more and here the osmolarity is less. So because of this less osmolarity here and more osmolarity here, water will enter into the medullary interstitium from the tubules and the less amount of the urine is excreted. So because of this again there is a retention of water by the kidney. So angiotensin 2 will stimulate this one ADH, stimulate the secretion of aldosterone and also direct effect on the vasoconstriction. Then also it will stimulate the sympathetic nervous system to causes the release of this sympathetic activity, which again further releases the norepinephrine and causes the vasoconstriction. Okay, so this is how the blood pressure will come back to the normal. Okay, such a complex mechanism. So just to revise back what we have studied in today's class. So juxtaglomerular apparatus, it is consists of the juxtaglomerular cells, mesangial cells and macula densa. Then this juxtaglomerular apparatus mainly releases the renin, and this renin converts angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1, angiotensinogen 1 converts into angiotensin 2, and angiotensin 2 stimulate the secretion of aldosterone. So this is called as renin angiotensin aldosterone axis. Okay, hope you understood this concept. The remaining concepts will be cleared in the next class. Okay, thank you very much. Please subscribe our channel. Thank you.